what is most responsible for this 49ers offensive backslide this year, Connor?
Oh man. I feel like there's one person to point at, and I feel like it's kind of obvious what I'm about to say. It's Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan. He has been the problem this year. And it's been really disappointing to see because he is really smart. He really innovated the way that the game is played. Like we said earlier, like offenses now, they really run the Shanahan offense because it's effective and it works really well. But his play calling this year, it's been kind of lackluster. There's been like a
That is kind
real,
of.
it's been
It's
very,
been
yeah.
like I feel like that Bears game, you finally saw him kind of in his bag a little bit. And I know it's just the Bears.
But they have a good defense.
They got 7 different offensive players touch the ball that game. They're
Yeah.
spreading the ball around finally. Like Kyle was finally calling play action, finally calling screen passes. The 49ers led the league. Like in my opinion, the best part of his offense is the play action rollouts, the play action. Like that is where he kind of gets defense off guard. He's been calling play action bottom 5 in the league this year. That doesn't make sense. The straight drop back, 7-step dropbacks is the worst part of his game, and that's what he's been having Brock Purdy rely on. Also, I have like a stat that I think goes with this, and Kyle's maybe lack of ability to adjust within a season. So a huge difference between this year and last year is last year, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, and Deebo Samuel accounted for 40 touchdowns just last year. 40 touchdowns.
That's a lot.
This year, they've had 2. All of them together. 2 touchdowns. By the way, Brandon Ayuk played 7 games. Deebo is still playing now. Christian McCaffrey, he was out, but he came back. They've scored 40 touchdowns last year. And now those 3 players combined have accounted for 2. Like, that's an insane.
Yeah, that really just shocked me. Even though 2 of them have been injured for like most of the season, that's still crazy.
That's crazy fall off.
Yeah, that's dramatic.
Now, part of me, you look at that stat and you go, okay, well then the injury excuse is valid. Like, these are 3 people, they've been out, and look at how much production they accounted for last year. Now they're not getting that. What I would say though is like, this goes to show, this has me ask why Kyle has not been able to adjust. Like, if these guys aren't going to be the 3 guys because of injury, because they're not able to get open or whatever the hell's going on with Deebo Samuel, he's washed now. Like, why are those targets not now going to George Kittle, who's, in my opinion, having an incredible year, to Juwan Jennings, who is going to always fight and always get open? Like, he's had a couple career games, but give him even more targets. How you were talking about Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall not in rhythm, but also there was 3 games in a row after his very first touchdown where everyone was like, oh my God, like, he got shot, he came back, he scored a touchdown. And then for 3 games, he does not get a target in a game.
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, those 3 players were very impactful, but I think other play callers around the league, when you start to find out like these guys either aren't going to be on our team because of injury or they're not performing as well, go back to that Rams game, Cooper Kupp. Sean McVay went away from Cooper Kupp. He was like, okay, it's not your game. I'm not just going to keep force feeding you the ball and letting you drop it. I'm going to go to someone else.
Yeah.
And that's how
it feels like, to me at least, it ties into this whole like mentality of it's like next man up, like if this isn't working with this guy, then it's the next man up and they're going to do something, right? And like like you just said, the Rams, they were able to do that. They were like, okay, Cooper Kupp, he's not working right now, so we got to move up to the next area. We got to throw it to the next guy who's going to catch it. Feels like the Niners haven't done that because the next guy up, in my opinion, it should have been Ricky Pearsall, but he hasn't been getting targets, which. And I've been watching him a little bit too. He's getting open. I promise you, he's getting open. It's just he's not getting the ball. And when that happens, then it just kind of stalls everything. And maybe it's like a lack of trust. Maybe it's just Shanahan thinking that they're not good enough. Whatever it is, that can't happen. That can't happen. That can't be a thing.
Right? Like, it's like you can't just be like, it reminds me of like a spoiled little kid. Like, I don't, my favorite toy is broken, so I don't want to play with this one. And it's like, you can't just decide that you're going to throw the year because the player that you like the most isn't on the field.
Yeah, it's like, what are we doing here? Is this like, are we in kindergarten? Is it like, mommy didn't give me my crayon? Like, what are we like?
Yeah.
This just feels stupid. Like, you gotta get him the ball. You gotta get him the ball if you're
Not
gonna spend it.
not to get into this too much because we're gonna end the show here pretty soon. That's part of the reason I think the 49ers need to trade away Debo this offseason. I think he literally makes Kyle a worse play caller. Like if he's just not on the field, then Kyle's like forced to give those targets to someone else. Where if Debo's on the field, he has the same affinity with Christian McCaffrey. He even went out in a press conference one time and said that Christian McCaffrey makes like calling offense on easy mode.
Yeah,
And it like got him out of his like offensive like creativity bag. Like he's just like,
yeah.
oh, I can just like throw it to these guys anyway, that I want, or hand it off to them. And they're so talented, they're going to make it happen. And it's like, maybe, 5, 2, 3 years ago, but not now.
I think they got to give Debo like at least around half the season next year, and then be like, okay, like if he stinks in the first half, then you get rid of him because you got to give him the chance.
You can't bring Debo back. Oh
Doesn't
my
he have
God.
one more year on the deal?
They did extend his contract. It's going to be dead cap. Yeah.
Yeah,
Originally, no, by the way.
yeah.
Originally, no. But then they literally like did the whole Eric Armstead thing where they put some of his money off, which they tend to do. So.
Classic Niners move.
Oh, Connor, I had such a good time chatting with you.
Thank you. Me too. This was really fun.
Hell yeah. Everyone in the chat seems to like you. People don't like Kyle though, so there's that.
Hey, by the way, I did see somebody say, I don't know if it was at me or not, but if it was at me, I'm making a statement. I saw somebody saying these young people got to keep Kyle's nuts out of their mouth. Hey man, they were nowhere near. They were nowhere near mine. All right, I'm not one of them young ones. I'm not a fan that much. Okay, I'm just saying.
I also say I think young people are like more Team Kyle than older people. Like I'm critical of Kyle.
Saying,
like
yeah.
With my dad, who like saw Super Bowls and saw Eddie DeBarlo and Bill Walsh, like I'm like arguing for Kyle with the older people. Like I feel like those people, their patience is done. They're like, this guy's not gonna do it. Move on.